Now that the previs is done, let's see the layout rough keyframing process. First, let's look at the video storyboard. Cut 1 is only CG, so let's skip it and go straight to Cut 2. There's a minor but important part. We should adjust the imported image into a 100 frame layout paper. I scaled it down to fit within this frame of the actual screen size. Then, we need to consider how much we scale down the image exported into 3D. We must make the cell match the 3D background and what we exported from CG when filming. Since this is for a storyboard, I scaled it down like this. The aspect ratio is also different, but it should have been adjusted like this. For example, the aspect ratio I'm setting in Flash is 835 x 595. The Flash uses vector data. So, we can set the resolution to export it, like 200, 150, or 72. You usually make the size small and light while maintaining the aspect ratio. In order to make it lighter, I set it to 600. As a result, the aspect ratio didn't hold. First, we will export it by modifying it to the correct aspect ratio in 3D. Then, I'll bring it down and do some illustration work. This is what we're actually going to do. From the storyboard, the angle would probably be like this. The aspect ratio is correct this time. But if we send it out as is, some parts will be out of the screen. I'd like to zoom it out further, but then it may change the visual field. In this case, you can adjust the sensor size in Cinema 4D's camera settings. The angle of view can be moved without changing the camera position. There is no problem doing it this way. But strictly speaking, they are different. Let's adjust it first. Let's zoom out a little bit. At this point, the layout is to be fixed. Let's also fix the camera work. This time, we should make fine adjustments to the final layout. So, let's adjust the camera position carefully. When working carefully in practice, I import the layout paper frame of Cinema 4D. I often draw it accordingly. In that case, many cuts can be adjusted later, so we'll proceed without considering it. For now, I don't want the ground to be seen in this cut as much as possible. I might erase the tree at the front later. Let me also slightly adjust the camera work. Let's try a camera map and do it. Let's make a cut that looks like walking through a wide space. I'm wondering about changing the model to this for the layout. It will stand out the most in this cut. I want to express this cut as large as possible. Surprisingly, it works well without collapsing. I thought I couldn't change the Alembic file size. I thought it would collapse if I put it in null. This size is enough. You can just add animation to this null. It would be better to cut it off up to the girl's front part. It would be a good idea to include arc. Adjusting the arc is quite tricky. The distance is not that long, so it may be faster by using a spline. I'd like to try flying it in a slightly downward orbit. It might be more impressive. It is quite fun to make detailed adjustments after finishing the motion production. That's because we've done the most tedious work. It's like only adjusting where the cut changes significantly. It's quite distant. I think it's going a little fast, so I'll adjust it. This could be about the best. I hope the girl hasn't noticed it yet. I think the layout is mostly set. Next, an important point is about character repetition. Strictly speaking, there is no repetition, but this is repeatable material. Sequentially sending it with the camera may confuse without repeating materials. So, let's fix the camera. Let me export it. Keyframes have been added. It's probably inside this one, so I may not need to export the camera. Instead, we can just delete the keyframes added to the character. It's something like this. Before that, let's duplicate this hole. Let's delete the keyframe. Then, the camera motion would work fine. It's finally working. That is, it repeats in the frame 31. In terms of the pages, we'll proceed with 15-page repetitive illustrations. If we apply a slide, it'll be hard to distinguish them without repetition. So, we should make sure to take any trouble out at this point. Working just one page would require a lot of effort. So please keep this in mind. That's quite important in commercial animation. Let's set up an alpha channel for easier layout work. Is the layout be fine? First, let me mention the function. There is an app for creating lines called Sketch and Tune. This seems to make drawing easier, so I'll try it. There is one more important point. Here, let's also clearly set the lighting. Working on the lighting on Night Street is quite bothersome. But you can give it a try. Not enough to add street lamps, but let's give it a try. Adding the natural lighting is tricky. It is easier to make lighting effects that look artificial. Let's test it. Once the lights are added, we should make sure how to set it. We can darken it and just skip over it. the fluorescent lighting feels like this. If you want this kind of color, it would be better to set it to night. I've somewhat created the night image this time. Surprisingly, dealing with the lights of buildings at night is tricky. To be honest, some parts failed to have specular reflections. Maybe I liked the sky reflected in the window, so I find cut 5 quite good. I haven't done the late afternoon case, so let's go for the night one as planned. It may be challenging, but we'll also discover something new. In this case, as I always do, I'll proceed with a more bothering one. Let's decide on the lighting. The left side light would be moving. It's risky to make this move in 3D. It's also difficult to draw illustrations. In this case, you usually prepare the entire or separate shadow materials. In filming, this is called overlap, or OL for short. It would be good to express the movement of light sources by turns. We can capture sufficiently a strong light passing through nearby areas. It looks a little empty, so I might add some environmental reflection. A richer image would be created by using footlights on the ground. So, I might try applying this, too. This can be filmed, but shape limits and post adjustment are challenging. For this large material, it would be better to put it in the illustration step. Let's look at the color of the footlight. It would be much prettier if blue flashes were added to the city at night. So, let's add some blue light from below. Let's look at area lights. We don't need a ground shadow because it's night. Since the ground gets dark overall, it rarely gets direct light. So, there will be virtually no ground shadows. The area light shouldn't be strong like this. Let's add the light in earnest. I think this would be good. Let's apply some extinction. It's quite unrealistic. That means it spreads out sideways. It seems like unique lighting to softly illuminate the entire area below. But the lighting is a bit strong. It's strong. The lighting hitting the upper part is quite stylish and decent. Let's make it a little easier to handle. After all, the spotlight is better when fitting the character with a pin. It's also easily controlled. It may seem strong, but it basically covers this much. This much strength seems right. It would look better with a bit of backlighting. It's a bit concerning to put it under the feet. Lighting only the upper body like this might look like a picture. This is just okay, so I'll stop here. First, let's look at the rendered view. The resolution looks fine, and exporting every 2 cuts will work in this frame rate. This seems okay since it repeats 15 pages. Now let's export it. First, let's look at the character settings. It looks like this. These parts need to be improved. It looks like the export process is already in progress. Basically, the timing is specified. We don't have to set the timing. We just need to have this kind of material repeating. Adjust the size moderately. Now, we'll continue to develop this drawing. Now that it's completed this much, we just need to trace it. You have to consider things like wrinkles, movement, and shadows. By the way, the light is vivid. It's still rough, so I'll adjust it later. This is a rough keyframing, so let's proceed without considering finishing the video. This is what we've done keyframing. In this case, there's a common way to set the walking pose. It consists of 3, this one, the middle one, and the last one. That's how it basically goes. So, this much amount probably works. Let's try it in 2 pages. The rest are sometimes created in 3D for reference. Even if it's not 3D, it's important to complete it as references for in-betweens. However, you don't reduce the pages without any reference. If we thoughtlessly make it into a video, the quality will be lower than in 3D. For example, minor details such as a gate are tricky. By correcting these parts, it will be easier to work in-betweens later. Make sure to clarify what's easy or hard to visualize in the video. Let's copy it. This is also a digital feature. It's wide angle, so there's no problem. Since we're working with a wide angle setup, the design seems pretty much the same. Okay, let's draw it. From here on out, it's going to get tedious. There's something I mentioned in theory class. Let's draw the hair strands first. The hair doesn't usually flutter like this. It shouldn't shake with this gate at this angle. However, I'll exaggerate its expression for fun this time. First, I'll draw it roughly. It's like the waves surging. First, let's try to grasp the concept.